Hi, I'm Pat McGuinn from Drew University, and I'm here with Karol Schmidt from the Arizona State Board of Education. And we're here to talk about the Every Student Succeeds Act. Karol, thank you for taking the time. Could you start off by talking a little bit about Arizona's process for coming up with its ESSA application, where you are in that process right now?
Sure. Arizona was actually one of the first states, I believe might have been actually the first state to already submit its plan in January, and that was preceded by stakeholder engagement. The superintendent went around the state and had stakeholder meetings. They also had individual meetings with different interested parties, and then they also had a website that collected information.
Terrific. And ESSA obviously rolls back federal mandates in many areas and gives states more discretion and flexibility to come up with their own vision for education reform in their state. What do you think are the most exciting opportunities or the most exciting areas of discretion in ESSA for states?
I think for Arizona, probably with accountability. We were one of the early A to F states. We've had statewide accountability for a number of years, but it's always been rooted in growth and proficiency measures. So it gives you a different opportunity to look at additional indicators as well as multiple measures.
Okay. And what do you think are some of the more unique elements of Arizona's plan as submitted, compared to, say, what other states are thinking of doing or might ultimately do?
I think with our plan, I think part of what's interesting right now is that we have some placeholders in it because we're right in the middle of developing our A to F plan, which will be finished in April. So there'll probably be some follow-up submissions in connection with what we've already turned in.
Okay, great. One of the concerns that's been raised about ESSA is that as it does roll back some of these federal mandates, particularly around accountability, concerns have been raised from some quarters that states may back off of the push just to improve student achievement and close racial and socioeconomic achievement gaps. What's your thinking on that question, and how is Arizona trying to ensure accountability for equity?
Sure, and I think there's probably on some level maybe some misunderstandings between No Child Left Behind and what it expected and what ESSA expects. I think there's still a great deal of expectation around proficiency, growth, high school grad rate, many of the things that we saw previously with No Child Left Behind, but it does allow for additional indicators at the K-8 level as well as high school. So I think that's one of the challenges for us in Arizona is having statewide data on these new indicators.
And what are some of the new indicators that you all have put in your plan or maybe discussing the next stage?
So what we're working on right now with accountability on the K-8 is what we call an acceleration measure. So what we're tracking or looking to track is our middle school kids taking high school math, as well as growth in our bottom quartile on English language arts and how they're doing in third grade reading. And then for high school, we're looking at college and career readiness indicators, which have a wide range of measures both for academics and careers.
Okay, great. And ESSA also gives states more flexibility around assessment and also around sort of timetables for setting your own goals. What did Arizona come up with in those regards?
So one of the things that we're doing that's pretty interesting in Arizona is we have a state legislation for a menu of assessments at the high school level. So what we're looking to do for next school year is have a variety of different options high school juniors could take in connection with the statewide assessment. So we have our own statewide assessment, but we're looking to add additional assessments to the menu that then the LEAs can pick from.
Where's the state in its thinking about the kinds of resources and capacities that might be necessary or indeed might be currently lacking at the state level for the state education agency or at the district level in terms of implementing the plan that you've developed?
I think in terms of resources, you're always challenged, I think, with funding, whether it's federal funds or with state funds. So there's always a push. We're dealing with a teacher shortage in Arizona, so there's always a push to get additional funds for the teachers, not only to bring them into the profession, but also to retain them.
Okay. And in the debate over your plan, what were the most controversial elements, or what do you think will be the most challenging elements to implement?
Well, I think probably in connection with accountability, we just finished reviewing our academic standards. Those were adopted by the board in December. So we're moving forward on those. We'll be implementing those over the next couple of years. But I think right now the challenge is with A to F accountability. We took a couple of years off from accountability in connection with rolling out our new standards in the past, as well as our new statewide assessment. And so there's some challenges, I think, getting that momentum back up for accountability as well as getting everybody on board.
And are there certain elements of Arizona's education system that you think make it unique and lead you to approach these questions of education and education reform differently than other states?
I think there's a great deal of innovation. I think the menu of assessments is going to be pretty intriguing to see how that plays out. We're looking to roll that out in high school this upcoming school year, and then to look at it for 3-8 in the following year. So I think we've always had some innovation. We were the second state to adopt A to F. We have pretty aggressive policies around third grade reading. So I think we're always looking for innovation.
Okay, and are there things that the federal government, the Federal Department of Education, can do to support Arizona's efforts in education reform? What are the things you'd like to see them do?
I think one thing that the federal government can help out with is with the regulations. I think when they voted to repeal the regulations in connection with accountability, that's a bit challenging. I think there's still quite a bit that actually sits within ESSA, but I think the regulations do give guidance for the people on the ground who have to then create and implement policy.
Are there any questions or other important issues that I didn't think to ask you that you'd like to comment on in relationship to ESSA today?
I think it'll be interesting to see how things shake out with the per pupil disclosures that'll be made about how schools are actually spending money. So I think there's going to be a lot more transparency too with report cards, both from the state and the local level, on how our schools are performing.
Great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time today, and good luck with this work.
Thank you.
Thanks.